There are some days in life that pass by like a gentle breeze, unnoticed and ordinary. And then there are days that echo through time, not because of what happens on the surface, but because of the energy that moves underneath. June 23, 2025 is not simply a day on the calendar. It is a moment destined to separate those who are sleeping from those who are awake, those who are drifting from those who are walking their path. When God said, "Everything changes on June 23, it was not an announcement for entertainment. It was not meant to stir fear or excitement. It was a sacred whisper, sent only to those who have cultivated the inner silence required to hear it. The world is full of noise. Every day you are bombarded with voices. Voices telling you who you should be, what you should fear, what you should chase. The external world pulls you in every direction, distracting you from the one journey that matters, the one within. So many people run after signs. They wait for something dramatic, something loud, something undeniable. Sometimes God moves in the breath between your thoughts. Sometimes He speaks when everything else becomes still. The whisper before the storm is not a warning. It is an offering, but only those who have trained their ears, their hearts, and their minds to recognize the voice of truth will understand what is being offered. A whisper is not heard through the ears. It is felt through awareness. To hear it, you must empty yourself of noise, fear, ego, and craving. The reason why most people will not understand the significance of June 23 is because they are too busy searching for what they want to hear rather than preparing themselves to hear what is true. You see, when you are filled with opinions, you cannot receive wisdom. When you are full of expectation, you cannot recognize the unexpected. This is why the monks, the sages, and the warriors train in stillness. They know that only in emptiness can the divine truth pour in. There is a preparation that must take place in silence. Just as a tree prepares through the winter for the blooming of spring, your spirit must prepare in silence for the moment of awakening. Many people think change comes like lightning, but real transformation, the kind that shifts the soul, begins long before the surface cracks. It begins when you start listening to the small stirrings inside of you, when your habits begin to shift, when your thoughts become more focused, when you start choosing silence over conflict, discipline over comfort, awareness over distraction. These are not random acts. These are signs that your inner landscape is beginning to respond to a deeper call. And what is that call? It is the quiet voice of destiny. The voice that tells you, prepare, align, cleanse. It is not shouting, because shouting is for the untrained. Whispers are for the worthy. When a Shaolin master trains, he is not waiting for applause or attention. He is preparing in silence for a test that no one else knows is coming. The same is true for your spiritual path. You are being prepared for a shift, and this shift is not going to announce itself with headlines. It will not beg you to notice it. It will not ask your permission. It will simply arrive. And when it does, it will not favor the loud or the proud. It will elevate the ready. Think of a musician who has trained for years, practicing each day in silence. The moment he steps on stage, people say, he is talented, but what they do not see are the years of silent mastery. The same is true for the soul. When June 23 arrives, the world will look around and wonder why some seem to rise with clarity, peace, and strength, while others fall into confusion, fear, and frustration. The answer is simple. Those who heard the whisper before the storm were already walking in truth. They didn't need the world to tell them to wake up. They had already awakened. The world often waits for proof before it believes. But the spiritual path is not about waiting. It is about becoming. If you are always waiting for signs, you will never be the sign. God does not give you a message for you to sit with folded hands. He gives you a message so you may rise, so you may act, so you may cleanse yourself of false identities, false attachments, false goals. The whisper before the storm is God's mercy. It is the opportunity to prepare before the shift becomes visible. You do not need the sky to fall to believe. You need only to feel the pull in your soul and follow it. This is why silence is sacred, not because it is quiet, but because it allows you to hear what cannot be heard by the ordinary ear. There are some things that only the still heart can receive. And so you must train yourself not in how loud you can speak, but in how deeply you can listen. You must ask yourself, when the world speaks, do you react or do you reflect? When fear rises, do you run or do you breathe? When the crowd moves in one direction, do you follow or do you stand still and ask why? Those who heard the whisper understand that life is not reacting, it is responding. But you cannot respond with wisdom if you have not first trained in silence. Many people live in constant reaction. Their emotions control them, their fears blind them, their attachments enslave them. And when the storm comes, they are thrown into panic. They ask, why didn't anyone tell me this was coming? But the truth is, God did speak, He whispered. And they were too distracted to hear. Discipline is the sharpening of awareness. It is not about punishment, it is about clarity. The reason a warrior trains each day is not because battle is guaranteed, but because readiness is a way of life. If you wait until the world falls apart to prepare your spirit, you have waited too long. Your preparation begins now in how you wake up, how you speak to others, how you spend your time, how you choose your thoughts. These things seem small, but they are the building blocks of your inner temple, and when the winds of change come, only the temples built on truth will stand. The whisper before the storm also tests humility. Many people think they are ready because they have knowledge. But knowledge without practice is a form of arrogance. You may know many teachings, but do you live them? You may speak of wisdom, but do you walk with integrity? The whisper is not given to the mind, it is given to the spirit. And the spirit only receives what it is humble enough to carry. You must release the need to be seen, the desire to be right, the craving to be praised. All of these are noise, and noise drowns out truth. When June 23 arrives, the world will see what has been hidden. But those who have trained in silence will not be surprised. They will not panic. They will simply take a breath and continue walking. Why? Because their direction is not based on outer signs, but on inner alignment. Their strength does not come from certainty, but from discipline. Their peace does not come from the absence of problems, but from the presence of purpose. And this is what the whisper has always been about: purpose. The divine does not call you for entertainment, it calls you for elevation. But elevation requires that you let go of what no longer serves. Many are asking for change but still clinging to what is old. They want transformation but refuse to surrender comfort. You cannot rise if you are holding on to what weighs you down. The whisper invites you to release. Release the fear, the guilt, the shame, the story. Only then can you be light enough to rise. So listen, not with your ears, but with your spirit. Look, not with your eyes, but with your awareness. Walk, not by sight, but by alignment. If you feel the pull inside you, the sense that something is shifting, that something is about to be revealed, do not ignore it, do not delay. Begin now, return to your breath, return to discipline, return to truth. The whisper before the storm is not something you chase, it is something you become. And those who become it will not fear the storm, they will walk through it as if it was a gentle breeze, because they have already been carried by a greater wind, the wind of the divine. True preparation does not begin when the world sees the danger, it begins when the soul senses the shift. And what the untrained eye cannot see, the trained spirit has already felt. There is a difference between reacting to life and aligning with life. When a person lives in reaction, they are always behind the moment, always chasing stability, always confused when change arrives. But when a person lives in alignment, they are never surprised. They may not know the details, but they have already been warned through intuition, through dreams, through inner restlessness. That unease you've been feeling, the sense that something is coming, something big, something beyond your control, that is not anxiety, that is preparation, that is your spirit whispering, it's time to get ready. What happens on June 23, 2025 is not a spontaneous event. It is a convergence, a gathering of energies, consequences, truths and revelations that have been building for years. The world may react like it was sudden, but the wise know this shift has been in motion for a long time. The spiritual laws are never delayed. Every choice made, every intention set, Every action repeated has been recorded. The universe has never been asleep. You may not have seen the balance adjusting, but it has always been balancing. And the scales tip on sacred days. Not because God wants to punish, but because the laws must be fulfilled. What you plant, you harvest. What you tolerate, you become. What you prepare for, you survive. Preparation is not an event, it is a lifestyle. The ones who are spiritually strong on June 23 will not be those who wake up that morning and suddenly decide to change. It will be those who have been walking the long, often invisible path of inner work. Those who have been disciplining their thoughts when no one was watching. Those who were kind even when the world was cruel. Those who held on to their light when darkness offered comfort. These are the souls who have been preparing, not because they feared something, but because they knew. They knew that when the wind shifts, you must already have your feet planted. You cannot be learning how to stand while the storm is upon you. You must already be grounded. And how do you prepare? Not by collecting things, but by releasing them. Not by building outer walls, but by strengthening your inner core. Many are running together. They gather wealth, relationships, status, recognition. But what is the value of these things when the vibration of the planet rises? What will you do with your trophies when your own spirit feels heavy? You cannot outrun spiritual gravity. When the earth ascends, only those with light hearts will rise. You must let go of bitterness, of resentment, of unhealed pain. This is the preparation. This is the cleansing. Because when the energetic veil lifts, and it will, everything hidden will become visible. You cannot fake peace. You cannot fake discipline. You cannot pretend alignment. On that day your energy will speak louder than your words. The world will react. It always does. It reacts to headlines. It reacts to crisis. It reacts to fear. But the spirit does not react. The spirit prepares. The spirit understands that timing is not dictated by the clock, but by resonance. When God said everything changes, He wasn't referring to your schedule. He was referring to your soul's timeline. There are seasons in your life that you don't choose, they choose you. And this upcoming season is not one of dreaming. It is one of doing. It is not for the mind that wishes. It is for the soul that moves. You must ask yourself, am I still making excuses? Am I still waiting for permission? Am I still arguing with truth? Because the time for questioning has passed. The time for action is now. Preparation looks different for everyone. For some, it will mean finally choosing stillness over stimulation. For others, it will mean facing the pain they've buried. For some, it is about cutting cords with what has been draining their energy. For others, it is about forgiving what seemed unforgivable. These are not small acts, these are revolutions within. These are the steps that build the kind of inner world that does not collapse when the outer world begins to shift. And it will shift, not to scare you, not to break you, but to reveal you. Because all things hidden will rise. And when that unveiling happens, you will see two types of people: those who are terrified by the truth, and those who have trained in truth. When a seed is planted, it does not cry for sunlight. It trusts that its growth is part of the cycle. It does not resist the soil. It embraces the darkness because it knows the light is coming. In the same way, your preparation has been happening in silence. Maybe you haven't been able to explain why you felt different. Maybe your habits have been changing. Maybe you've lost interest in shallow conversations. Maybe you've withdrawn from drama, noise, and conflict. This is not coincidence. This is spiritual alignment. This is the deeper part of you responding to the upcoming change. It is like your soul is already packing its bags for a journey your mind doesn't fully understand. That's okay. Let your soul lead. Let your mind follow. Many will try to prepare at the last moment. They will rush to consume teachings, rush to fix broken habits, rush to feel safe. But you cannot rush alignment. You cannot microwave mastery. You cannot download discipline. These things are forged over time. And if you have already started the path, even if you feel far from perfect, understand this: you are ahead of the wave. Keep walking, keep building. Because the energy of the new world cannot be carried by the self that refuses to evolve. The shift is not interested in who you pretend to be. It is only interested in who you truly are, and that truth is either free or it is trapped. The preparation is the act of setting it free. Every warrior sharpens his sword long before battle, not out of fear, but out of honor. The spiritual warrior does not wait for signs to get serious. He is always ready, not because he wants war, but because peace requires strength. On June 23, the balance of strength and peace will be tested. Those who have no inner peace will be overwhelmed by the energy. Those who have no strength will be paralyzed by the speed of change. And so you must train now. Train your thoughts to hold stillness. Train your emotions to respond with grace. Train your body to carry discipline. Train your spirit to trust the unseen. Let go of the idea that you have more time. Time is not promised, but presence is available. And in presence, all things become possible. Your future is not waiting for you to wish, it is waiting for you to act. You do not need to be perfect. You need only to be present. And from that presence you must build. Build the habits that nourish your energy. Build the boundaries that protect your peace. Build the rituals that awaken your awareness. These are the bricks of the foundation you will stand on when everything begins to shift. And what of those who ignore the call? What of those who mock the whisper, who say, nothing will happen, it's just another day? These are the ones who will be shocked. Not because they weren't warned, but because they refuse to listen. Denial does not protect you from truth, it only delays your preparation. And when truth arrives, it does not ask if you are ready, it simply shows itself. If you have trained, you will see it as a teacher. If you have not, you will see it as a threat. This is not a threat from God, it is the result of your own resistance. So prepare, not in fear, but in reverence. Prepare not because disaster is coming, but because awakening is coming. Prepare not for the world's reaction, but for your soul's expansion. There is a beauty that arrives when you are ready. There is a power that activates when you align. There is a peace that settles when you surrender, and this peace is not found in the noise. It is found in your practice, in your breathing, in your stillness, in your silence. Do not look at the outer world for signs of safety. Safety is not out there. It is in your inner world. It is in how you respond to chaos. It is in how you treat others when no one is watching. It is in the decisions you make when it would be easier to remain asleep. Every step you take today builds your response to tomorrow's test. Every moment you choose to rise in discipline prepares you to rise in energy. Every time you say no to what drains you, you say yes to what prepares you. There are two ways to meet June 23, with surprise or with certainty. The first leads to confusion, the second leads to clarity. And clarity does not come from guessing the future. It comes from preparing your presence. The energy of that day is already approaching. The current is building. You may not see it with your eyes, but your spirit can feel it. Honor that feeling. Do not numb it. Do not distract yourself from it. Let it lead you to your training ground. Let it pull you deeper into your practice. Let it remind you what you do in silence is never wasted. It is stored. It is remembered. It is multiplied. And when the world begins to shake, you will not. Because you were not waiting for the world to tell you what is coming. You had already begun. You were not reacting. You were ready. You were not seeking safety. You were standing in it. There is a profound misunderstanding in the modern world about how true transformation happens. Many believe that wanting change is enough, that setting intentions is enough, that declaring goals, writing them down, repeating affirmations, that all of this somehow obligates the universe to comply. But the sacred laws do not bow to intention, they bow to alignment. Energy does not follow what you wish for, it follows who you are. When God said everything changes on June 23, 2025, it was not a message to those who merely hope, it was a signal to those who have aligned themselves in truth, in thought, in word, in action. The mistake many make is assuming that clarity of desire equals readiness of being. But the universe, the divine, the Tao, it listens not to your surface wishes, but to the vibration you carry. You can want peace, yet live in chaos. You can want abundance, yet walk in fear. You can want transformation, but refuse discipline. This is the disconnection. This is why the whisper of God is only received by those whose daily habits, inner dialogues, and unspoken intentions are harmonized into one frequency. That frequency is not found in thinking alone, it is discovered through alignment. Alignment is not pretending. It is not trying to be spiritual. It is not about the external rituals you perform for others to see. True alignment is invisible to the world, but undeniable to the universe. You cannot trick energy. You cannot fake resonance. You either vibrate at the level of truth or you don't. And when that energetic portal opens on June 23, 2025, it will not care what you intended to become. It will only amplify what you already are. That is the great spiritual truth. Energy amplifies alignment, not words. Your energy field will be the key. The quality of your inner life will be the measure. This is why preparation is not about speaking more, it is about becoming more. If you say you want peace but you continually choose conflict, you are misaligned. If you say you are ready for abundance but you live in scarcity, you are misaligned. If you say you are a light worker but you gossip, complain and resent, you are misaligned. These are not small matters, these are spiritual fractures. And when divine energy floods the planet, it seeks coherence. It rewards those who are whole. It promotes those who are honest. Not perfect, but honest. The world celebrates the loud, the ambitious, the polished, but the divine lifts the sincere, the aligned, the quietly disciplined. There is a sacred equation at work here. Thought plus word plus action equals vibration. If your thoughts say I trust, but your words are filled with doubt and your actions are hesitant, your vibration is confusion. If your thoughts say I am ready, but your words are defensive and your actions are impulsive, your vibration is dissonance. And no matter how often you repeat your intentions, no matter how beautifully you write them on paper, if your being is fractured, your energy will remain out of tune with the incoming shift. And when energy does not match the current, it is left behind. The planet is not just changing intellectually, it is rising vibrationally. The changes coming are not designed to favor the clever, they will favor the aligned. This is why so many people who seem prepared externally will find themselves overwhelmed, while those who have quietly done the inner work will rise with grace. There is a speed to spiritual energy that only the still heart can hold. There is a frequency so high that only the humble can tune into it. And on June 23, when this frequency intensifies, your level of alignment will not be something you can edit or control. It will be revealed. Many will feel this as a pressure. They will feel exposed, because when the vibration of truth rises, anything false is forced to surface. This is the divine test, and it is not based on performance, but on purity. It will not ask, how many books did you read? It will ask, did you apply what you learned? It will not ask, how many followers did you gain? It will ask, how many times did you stay loyal to truth when no one was watching? It will not ask, how loud was your voice? It will ask, how still was your mind? Alignment is quiet, but its effects are seismic. There are three pillars that build true alignment: integrity, discipline, and surrender. Integrity means you live in truth, even when it costs you comfort. You say no to what betrays your soul, even if it pleases others. You keep your word not just to others, but to yourself. Discipline means you do what needs to be done, not what feels good in the moment. You rise early when your body wants to sleep. You breathe through anger instead of reacting. You train your emotions, your focus, and your energy daily. And surrender means you release control, not out of weakness, but out of trust. You stop trying to manipulate outcomes. You stop forcing your timing. You align with the divine flow and walk with it, even when it doesn't make sense to your mind. Most people attempt to force energy. They try to hustle their way into higher states. But force always creates friction. Flow creates harmony. You must learn to become the space where energy flows freely. You must remove blockages, ego, fear, resentment, comparison, impatience. These things constrict your vibration, and when the frequency of the world shifts, constricted energy collapses. But when you are in alignment, you are like a flute, hollow of ego, pure in intention, and ready to be played by the breath of the divine. There is a sacred timing unfolding, and just like a tree blooms at a certain season, so does the soul. But you cannot rush your blooming, you must water your roots. Your roots are your discipline, your roots are your silence, your roots are your choices in the unseen moments. What you do when no one is watching determines your readiness for when everyone is watching. And on June 23, the light will not only shine on the earth, it will shine through you, or expose you. There will be no middle ground. Energy does not tolerate half-truths. It either flows through clarity or stops at distortion. That is why this moment, this now, is your training ground. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, now. Because the law is simple. You rise to the level of your alignment, not your desires. You receive according to your preparation, not your declarations. And you will be tested not by what you say, but by who you have become. You must ask yourself, have I become the kind of person who can carry this next level of truth, power and responsibility? Or am I still hoping the external world will change while I remain the same? You are not waiting for energy, energy is waiting for you. The divine current has always been flowing. The question is, can you hold it? Are you a worthy container, or are you still leaking your power through unconscious habits, scattered attention and emotional reactivity? Your ability to hold energy is your spiritual maturity. And spiritual maturity is not about age, it is about awareness, about accountability, about choosing evolution over ego again and again, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. On June 23, the divine pulse will intensify. Some will rise because their internal structure is strong. Others will shake because their foundation was built on illusion. You must build your inner temple now, not with bricks, but with breath. Not with theories, but with actions. You must clean the windows of your mind. You must sweep the floors of your soul. You must open the doors of your heart to let light in. Because energy, sacred, divine, and real, does not enter chaos. It enters order. Not the order of control, but the order of alignment. This alignment requires honesty, brutal, loving honesty. You must look at your life and ask, where am I still out of tune with truth? Where am I still pretending? Where am I still choosing comfort over growth? The answers will not always be pleasant, but they will set you free. You cannot heal what you deny. You cannot align with what you refuse to face. But when you do, when you see yourself clearly and love yourself deeply enough to change, the universe shifts in your favor. Not because it is rewarding you, but because you have finally become resonant with its rhythm. And this is the final key. Alignment is not something you achieve, it is something you return to. Again and again. Each moment is a chance to return. Each breath is a doorway back to presence. Each choice is an opportunity to tune yourself like an instrument. And just like a stringed instrument, you don't tune it once and forget. You must tune it daily, with care, with attention, with awareness, because the music you play, the life you live, depends on your tuning. When the sacred day arrives, the world will not change you. It will reveal you. The flood of energy will not create your alignment, it will magnify it. And so the most important work you can do is not to hope, not to fear, but to align. Not in theory, in practice, not for applause, for truth. Not to impress, to express. Not from fear of the future, but from reverence for the present. Because in the end, it will not be your goals that carry you through the storm. It will be your groundedness, it will be your silence, it will be your alignment,